Shalom, shalom. That means peace in the Hebrew. I want to give all the honor, glory, and praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWACHAA, QADASH. The bonus to my elders at Great Millstone, talking this truth through the Spirit. Singing honors to the elect. Peace and blessings be to all the sincere men, women, and children that do consist of the 1/3. And to the confusion of faces in the four corners of the earth, shalom. This video I'm making through the Spirit in response of what the Sabbath is. The Sabbath is determined by the new moon. A Sabbath is pretty much a holy day. Holy means separate. Like, for instance, you have 7-day evangelists. They like to say, like, the Saturday would be like the day you will rest on. You have Sunday worshipers. Hence, Sunday worshipers that would say, like, Sunday would be the 7th day of the week that you will rest on, right? But you have to understand, they did not have the Gregorian calendar, which is the calendar that we have today. They did not have the Gregorian calendar. They didn't have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. We didn't have that. We had a different calendar. But we always determine the first day of the month by the new moon. So you know what a full moon is, right? When you can fully see the moon. Do you know what a new moon is? When you can barely see the moon, but there's like a little smidget of light. Barely. Barely. That's what a new moon is. And the new moon, the word month comes from the word moon, because there is approximately the entire sequence of a month would be approximately 28.6 days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's why you always have 4 phases of the moon. And you have the waning, and then you have the waxing phase, if I'm not mistaken. So let's get to it. This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, which is in the Apocrypha, which is a part of the 1611 King James Version Bible. So Sirach 43:6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. What's a prime example of the sign of the world? The moon turning into blood. Remember, this written in the scriptures, right? Not literally in the blood, but the vision that the prophet saw was that the moon looked red. We've had so many lunar solar eclipses, and we've had the moon turn into a dark pinkish reddish hue. All right, and no man on earth can duplicate that. That's how you know that the true God of the universe is the God of the Bible, the God of the Israelites. YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Because no other God on earth can do that. Because no other God on earth has created the heavens and earth. Anyhow, verse 7. From the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that, listen here, y'all, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. Ooh, that's beautiful. That's why you have the waning and the waxing stages. I'll never forget it. One time I had asked my teacher in class, bold-faced lie. Now that I look back at it, I said, what makes the moon give its light? Oh, the sun does. I didn't think nothing of it. I said, okay, you think that whatever Esau's telling you is the truth. You get older, you start thinking like, wait a minute. If that's the case, how come the moon's not always a full moon? But anyhow, verse 8, the month, yep, there you go, is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heavens. So the moon was created for what? To appoint the feasts, all right, and also for signs in the heaven. So before I go any further, let me pull a quick precept out about the signs in the heaven. Then I'm going to get back into the month. All right. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 31. I'm going to start at 30. And I will shew wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and the terrible day of YAHAWAH come. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So the moon is an instrument in the heavens used to determine the times for us, right? To declare the times. Now I'm going to go into Leviticus really quick. I'm going to be jumping around like the House of Pain really quick. It's also a law. It's also a law. Pardon me. Leviticus 23:1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. All right? So a feast. So how will we determine when the Lord feasts would be? Let me go to Psalms 81, and I'm gonna jump back. Psalms 81 and 3. I'm going to get straight to the point. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. So how do you determine the feast? By the new moon. So let's go back to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23:2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. So, the moon will determine when will be the Sabbath. Okay. Now listen to this. I'm going to keep going. Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. The 14th day of the first month. How do you determine the first month of a year? It's not in January because it's in the, quote, dead of winter. Life doesn't start in the dead, right? Think about it. The dead, life and dead, that's oxymoron. The first month of the year will be when? In the springtime. Why? Because life springs forth. Don't you have an offspring and that brings forth life? What happens in springtime? Everything starts to flourish. The flowers start to bud. The bees start to buzz. The birds start to chirp. That's why life starts in spring. Therefore, the beginning of the year will start in the spring. During the spring equinox, if I'm not mistaken. So technically in March, whenever the equinox, I think it's called the spring equinox, forgive me, all right? Then you have like the winter solstice and all of that. So it will be determined by the new moon. Now let's go into how you would determine the first day of a month, right? Which would be the new moon. And I'm going to prove that. And I'm going to close out. Like I said, I don't want to make this too long, but I want to touch on it because the elder Apostle Ramla went into it, Elder Apostle Tahar went into it, and I just wanted to touch on bases on mine in case you guys then didn't notice, whoever's on my page. So so this is 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 4. This is during the time when the Lord was taking the spirit from Saul, because Saul was disobedient. He didn't slaughter every one of the heathens. He saved some because of the people he feared. And the Lord said he rather that you be obedient than to give sacrifice. So this is when the Lord was trying to take the Holy Spirit from Saul. And Saul was always trying to kill David. And David and Jonathan, who was Saul's son, had such a bond so strong, it was stronger than the bond that a man and a woman can have. I.e., I don't know why people would say it. People thought that they were gay. They're not gay. There wasn't homosexuals. That's just a term. Even the day Jake got that term, I'm gonna say it so there's children listening, cover their ears, you know. But Jake has a terminology. What they say, bros before hoes, right? So that's another formality of you can say that, you know, how you got so much love for your a man, but not as if you were sexually attracted to a man. Like that's just foolishness to think that, you know. But anyhow, 1 Samuel 20:4. Then said Jonathan to David, whatsoever thy soul desire, I will even do it for thee, because he had to run off from his Saul, who was Jonathan's father, because he kept trying to kill him, right? So verse 5, and David said to Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon. So today right here with him speaking, this is the last day of a month. Tomorrow is the new moon. I should not. I'm going to prove how it was the last day of a month. I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at even. Right? So he said tomorrow's a new moon. So if tomorrow's a new moon, but he said he gonna see him on the third day, that means that tomorrow will have to be the first day of a month, which means that the new moon will determine the first day of a month. Did you hear that? All right, let's jump down. 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse. I'm gonna start at 23. And as touching the matter which thou and I have spoken of, behold, the Lord be between thee and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. And when the new moon was come, the king sat down to eat meat. Right? So it was the next day. Jumping down to verse 27. And let me keep reading. Forgive me, y'all. I'm not going to do y'all like that. Verse 25, and the king sat upon his seat as at other times, even upon his seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. So even he would know, like, how the customs in the law were. Like, David must not be clean. He didn't intend, to come and eat with us on the Sabbath. Right? Verse 27, and it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month. You hear that? So, remember, King David said, tomorrow's a new moon. Then the next day came. Saul was eating with Abner and his son Jonathan, like, David must not be clean. Then the next day, which is the second day, came. So that goes to show you that the new moon determined the first day of the month. All right? I'm going to read it again. I'm going to close out pretty soon. 1 Samuel 20 and 27, and it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, neither yesterday nor today? All right, so the new moon determines the first day of the month, and the new moon also will determine when the Sabbath is, and the new moon will also be signs in the heavens before the great and terrible day of the Lord. So with that being said, I pray you was edified and fed. Stay in the spirit. Don't fear it. Just endure it. Ask for forgiveness. Pray without ceasing. Stay humble. Remain diligent. YAHAWAH. Shalom.